The reason why I started my company is because I wanted people to understand that there are 6 different types of pitches. There's the elevator, the media, the investor, the speaker, the sales, and the interview pitch.
Hello, Profit First entrepreneurs and thought leaders. I am so excited. We have a really special guest for you guys that are scaling and want to scale big and get into these large contracts. I have Miss Precious Williams. She is a 13-time national elevator pitch champion. She has been featured on Shark Tank, CNN, Wall Street Journal, Forbes Magazine, Black Enterprise. Oh my gosh, I have to keep going. Essence Magazine, as well as the movie Leap. Some of her clients include Microsoft, LinkedIn, Google, NBC Universal, Federal Reserve Bank, Intuit, QuickBooks, Harvard University, and much more. Now, Precious is a dynamic speaker. She's also a trainer. She is also a TED Talk speaker. So we are in for a major treat today. So thank you and welcome to the platform, Precious. How are you doing today?
I'm excited, girl. I'm feeling good. Do you hear me though?
Well, we are excited to have you. We are very excited. So Precious is known as the Killer Pitch Master. Precious, tell me how you got that title.
Well, I got the title when I won the Black Enterprise National Elevator Pitch Championships on May 16, 2013. After I won, Robert Townsend, if you've ever watched the 5 Heartbeats, Robert Townsend and MC Light, the rapstress extraordinaire legend, they both gave me the title Killer Pitch Master because they said within 10 seconds, I slayed all competition. So not only do you beat out the thousands of people that apply, the 10 that are the finalists at the actual event down to 1. And they said I had it in the first 10 seconds. And they said, that's how you just slay all competition. And so, to hear those words next to me was like, wow. And I ran with it. And I'm so glad that I did because it truly sets me apart in a crowded marketplace. And we all know about everybody can't be like everybody else. So if you want to be average, random, or ordinary, you coin what everybody else is saying, but I'm the killer pitch master and period.
And she is, she was actually the keynote speaker for the 2021 ProfitCon with Mike McCallowitz. So Precious, you are a big deal out there. A lot of times, people don't think about pitching, right? Especially if you're a scaling entrepreneur, like a lot of our audiences, where we're no longer the party of one. We may have a sales team behind us that's doing a lot of sales, but pitching is still important, right? Knowing how to pitch, especially for those bigger opportunities, to get into retail, to get into government contracting, pitching is crucial. And tell me, a lot of times, I'll be honest, as an accountant, the even thought of having to pitch gives me like butterflies in my stomach and heart palpitations.
Right.
So Precious, tell us about pitching. Tell us about the components of a good, strong, powerful pitch.
Okay, so then we're going to talk about the basics, and we're going to talk about taking it into killer pitch style. So the basics of a pitch: who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve? So you got to be popping on that target market. You want to make sure that they understand what your secret sauce is. So what makes you different from all other finance professionals? And then what's your call to action? What do you want them to do after they hear you pitch? Do you want them to schedule a call? Do you want to move further in the process? Do you want them to read something? Do you want them to buy something? You have to be very, very clear about that. And I'm sorry, I forgot to say this in the beginning. The reason why most people think pitching is just what you do for Shark Tank or, what you're doing for investors. People don't realize you do it every day. When you talk to your friends about that no good man, no good woman in your life, the clients that you love or hate or whatever, that's a pitch. What you're doing is making what you're talking about the main focal point. So we stay on that for an extended period of time. So you're heard all the way out. So if you think about pitching, think about someone who in the family, maybe it's your significant other, who cooks well. It's the holidays, it's about to be the holidays. And so you go over to the house, this food smelling good. You're like, you start putting food on a plate, you chopping it up with everybody, and everybody says grace. That whole plate is your book, your business, your brand, your product, your service, everything that you have. The first fork or spoon you take out, that's a pitch. So all that, a pitch is just a juicy morsel, a taste of more to come. So you're not giving them everything. You just give them a taste to whet their appetite, and then you get them to want to go further with you. So that whether that's to closing the deal, whether that's to the next step in the process. So everybody wants to throw everything in. No, everybody ain't entitled to that. Your clients are entitled to all of that. The people who are your prospects, you just want to entice them so that you get all the way to the end of the journey. Now, when we're taking the killer pitch style, the first thing I think people should really know is you have to paint a picture. You have to tell us a compelling story. So you might be thinking, what could we talk about? Listen, my first company was a lingerie company for plus size women. People laughed today like, oh, that was such an easy thing. Really? 10 years ago it was? Because it wasn't. I was 327 pounds and people told me I was too fat, too black, and didn't have an Ivy League degree. Never mind, I have a law degree. Never mind, I'm an award-winning attorney. Never mind that I've been on everything that you can think of as far as business. Okay. But when I pitched, I noticed that when I told a story about Valentine's Day, everybody knows. And so it was an emotionally compelling story and people got it and they understood there's more than just how I feel about lingerie being 327 pounds. And yes, I was dating a very famous Hollywood actor. And the women that you think don't matter, the over 40 million women size 14 or larger in the United States, just like mine, we all want pretty underwear. It's just too bad that most of us can't find it. And so we created it. So you have to throw a story in there. You have to paint a picture of where you want them to go with what you're saying. Number two, you have to be bold and unexpected. Many finance professionals sound exactly the same to me. Exactly the same. I'm watching paint dry because I'm like, give me a little something more, right? Give me a little something that's going to wet my whistle. And so you want to commit people. So I would tell people, drop a set of books, do something that's just shocking. So I like to start off with a question, a startling statistic, or a quote. Instead of, my name is this is what I do. Should I care? Give me something to care about, which is why address the challenge before you address your solution. So that's number three. What is the problem that most people struggle with? So when I meet finance professionals, especially if they're like financial advisors and stuff like that, they're always like, taking care of memories and, disability insurance. And it's more than that. I once met a man who said he was a firefighter. You looked at his body, wasn't no firefighter, but he put out family fires. Think about that. When people die, what does that do to the family? It puts them in a tailspin. People are jumping out windows. They don't even know what to do. But he puts the pieces back together. And so a fireman goes into the tough battles and saves everybody. So think about the way he put it together, right? So the problem is people don't know what to do when the unexpected happens. The solution, I'm here. But it's not saying the same wording that you hear everybody else says. So when he says a firefighter, think about where your mind goes.
I love that, girl. You got me about to go order from Victoria's Secrets. I mean,
and then with the solution, and then when you talk about and then again, I always tell people be on your Kanye, whether you like him or not. Kanye will never let you put him in a box. So he's not a rapper. He's a producer, a rapper, a creative director, a designer, a visionary. He puts himself up at genius level. And I got to be honest with you, I love that he does it. Because if he didn't, he would be relegated to where they put a lot of people. You don't rank. It's like, no, I think I'm a genius in my own time. And I'm going to let you know, but my track record speaks for itself. My album is not out, but I sold out a whole stadium 3 times. Who can do that? Kanye. And then finally, give it to him raw. I'm a 13-time national champion. Been in CNN, Wall Street Journal, Forbes magazine, billboards in Times Square. The reason why you got to flex on people is because they will think that you don't have anything. And so that's why when you said those names, people look at you differently. If I didn't have any names, if I just said, I am who I am, you'd be like, I don't want that. And finally, make your call to action powerful, right? So if you want somebody to do something, tell them what to do. So I'm always about, I'm a 3-time #1 best-selling author of the Bad Bitches and Power Pitches for Women Entrepreneurs and Speakers Only. I know the title is so shocking to people, they already want to buy it because and even for someone who got to clutch the pearls, clutch them. But now you're intrigued because who dare would write a business book? Now, Queen, Susanne, did this sell out at the event?
Oh, it's sold out. Yeah, definitely sold out.
Come on now.
I got a few of those books. Definitely. Now, we had to get my daughter a pillow, but
I know. She's like, I want my daughter out there. Yeah. You are so young, no ma'am. But also, it's not a problem being a little bit controversial, especially if you can back it up. Like it wasn't urban lit. If Forbes wrote about it, trust me, it's not urban lit.
No, I love it. Now, usually when the opportunity comes to do a pitch, it's usually at in an opportune time. Especially if you happen to get into an elevator with a CEO of like Bed Bath and Beyond, or you're, rubbing shoulders. And, most of us aren't prepared. I know, like, I get eventually tongue tied and I feel like I'm jumping into like one of those, what do you call those jump ropes that like double dutch, and the rope just hits me in the
It just hits
eyeball.
you like,
It
whoa.
does. How do you jump in and have your pitch ready to go?
Well, see, that's one of the great things about being the killer pitch master. The reason why I started my company is because I wanted people to understand that there are 6 different types of pitches. There's the elevator, the media, the investor, the speaker, the sales, and the interview pitch. So when you are in business, you should have a sales pitch. If you're seeking investors, you should have an investor pitch, and you should have an elevator, an investor, and maybe even a media pitch, right? And so if you know that in advance, where do you go to get that kind of help? You'll come to me, or you can go to people who do that so that you're not left alone. And for those of you who are watching right now, it's so important for you all to know this, because if Oprah gets on the elevator with you, I'm going to tell you, don't, oh, I love Oprah. Oprah going to be looking like I hear that all day, every day. What you got?
I'm a
Or
fangirl all
on you.
over that.
Right. So if Oprah gets on the elevator, I want y'all to step up. You got 30 seconds to 1 minute. I want you to kill it. So what did I tell you? Start with a question, a startling statistic, or a quote. Let her know about a challenge that her audience may be having. Maybe not her, because she got the coin. Where the money reside, where the money reside. But a lot of her audience wants to live their best life. Do you have something that speaks to that? For profit first. We pay everybody else first, but forget to do us. That's why what you do is so important. So you have to lay that on her. Most people don't run their companies the right way and are left with nothing at the end of the year, or maybe at the end of the month. So this is a challenge. How do y'all solve it in your own unique way? Throw that Kanye on her real quick. Bam. And then what do you want her to do? I don't carry business cards. And I'm always shocked when people ask me. I'm like, I rarely get asked that question, because I'm willing to go look you up. But for her, how can you make that? How can you make your name pop? How can you entice her to want to go look you up? And that's why I say to people all the time, you've got to be memorable. You've got to do the unexpected. She's not expecting you to come hard. She's expecting, oh, yeah, love me some Oprah. Oh, I watched your show for 25 years, even though you're like 27. I don't know. But take that opportunity. I've sold books in a Whole Foods. I was chopping it up with the cashier, and I was talking about my book, Bad Bitches and Power Pitches. I promise you, I was just talking, just chopping it up. Woman next to me, she said, oh, you're from Missouri? I said, yeah, I'm from St. Louis. She said, oh, from Kansas City. And, I didn't know she was paying attention. This is why people are always paying attention. Be ready. She said, oh, I thought I heard you say you wrote a book. I said, yeah, Bad Bitches, Power Pitches. So we exchanged a little LinkedIn. The next day she was like, can I get a box of your book? She said, I have women employees that I know will really love the book. But you know what she did? She looked me up. So she knew what time it is. So that's why I'm saying, as a killer pitch master, I'm supposed to help. I'm hired to do these things because most of y'all are just so great at what you do. This is why you bring in other people who can write it for you and help you perfect it together so it sounds good coming out of your mouth, so that you're prepared for no matter what the situation is. You could be sitting in business class or first class on a plane. Next thing you know, chopping it up with a deal. Next thing you know. And for those of you who are going for the big ones, in the pandemic is when I went after LinkedIn, Google, Microsoft, Federal Reserve Bank. Yelp is my newest client. Who does that? I was working with speakers, entrepreneurs, people who want to enter pitch competitions. And I've trained over 145 successful first place finishes in pitching. I realized that people were losing their jobs or they were going to hold on to their money, individuals. So what does that leave? I need to aim higher. But that's why I wrote my book, Pitching for Profit, because when you're trying to go higher, it's your network that's going to help you and save you. So I teach you how to go into LinkedIn on a vengeance and to make yourself known. What should you be putting in your messages to get noticed instead of just throwing everything out there? What are people really interested in? Who in your network can be the warm introduction to the right person? These are things these are things that I love to teach that you should know, because I don't want you doing all of this hard work. You ask more now so you don't have to later. People are pitching you and all it is for you is straight profit. I don't do the business development I used to because so many people have heard me. They've saw me teach. I'm flown out to teach and to speak and to train. And now they're talking about me to other people. And finally, Susanne, never be afraid to make the big ask. I know it sounds crazy. Do it anyway. You never know who's listening, who will be like, oh, I know that person. Woman asked me about Oprah. So I don't have a connection to Oprah, but I have some people in common. Is that, but also ask yourself, is this person ready for that?
Oh,
Everybody
wow.
ain't ready. You say you want to meet Oprah, you ain't ready. You ain't ready. I promise you, you're not ready. You have to be at a certain level. And so that's why I really love Profit First. And being the keynote was amazing.
It was. We definitely learned a lot from you, Precious, during the keynote. I like a couple of things that you said there. There's different types of pitches. There's the elevator pitch where suddenly, someone walks in and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to meet you my whole life. There's the pitch for investors that you talked about, the pitch if you had a pre-planned appointment for a sale, and then there's a media pitch. So there's, a lot of times we don't talk about that there are different types of pitches out there. And one of the key takeaways that I got from you, Precious, too, is, you don't want to have that Oprah moment where you meet Oprah and you're not prepared. These are things that you plan ahead of time. You plan what you would say if you met Oprah Winfrey or the editor-in-chief of Forbes magazine. These are things that you plan ahead of time before you get out there to put thought into that.
You go through the process and you're like, ooh, I should have thought that one through.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've done that a few times in my life. I've thought that one through.
Well, can we backfield and motion that? Because I kind of, but the reason why, and in elevator pitches, Queen, honestly, we all go to networking events. If all of y'all were together, so when y'all all together, it's one thing. When you're meeting newer people, what are you going to say? Because you don't know who they're connected to. Queen, do you remember when I said, I'm seeking speaking engagement? I'm going to make the big ass. I'm going to make it because you don't know who's attached to who. And if you've done a great job and people are willing to give you testimonials, then they're willing to send you out. And the thing about pitches, if I can just completely be honest with all of you, is do it. Most people do a poor job because they don't know the components and how to work the components into what they do. I don't pitch like you may see on Shark Tank, even though I've been on Shark Tank and sliced and diced. My thing is it should be fresh and it should also have someone like, ooh. So even if it doesn't work for them, who can it work for? If they keep you in a Rolodex for a year and it finally comes up, here you are. You want them on your mailing list. You want them seeing what you're doing. If you have a crowdfunding campaign, if you have something that you're launching and you need beta people for it, or if you want to reach out to this particular company, who in between you can make that happen? It's important. And that's why pitching isn't just for novices, it's for all of us. I never would have gotten into the big tech companies, especially when I have an English degree and a law degree. And I knew that I could talk about sales pitching, but with them, they needed communication skills help. So they got these big brains with these big words and tech speak, and you're talking to people who don't have that to get work done. Well, I'm a communication skills expert. So do you see how I went from just pitching to now I'm pitching in a different realm because that's another part of what I do.
I love it.
Yes, Queen.
I love it. So tell me about, one of the big things that gets people tongue-tied when that moment happens is, we don't have the courage. I mean, one thing I've always admired about you, Precious, is, Precious got to say something, she will say something. As accountants, or entrepreneurs, we might spend it in our head a few hours before an opportunity is gone. Are there any tips that you can give us and just being out there to just say what we need to say in the moment?
Well, first, it's taken me 42 years to get here. So I'll say in my 30s is where I started acting up a bit. You know what I mean? But Queen, honestly, it has taken me years to get to the point of being comfortable in my own skin. When I was growing up, I was told, if you want to be an attorney, the suit, the blue, the black suit with the pearls, well, that never fit me. So I wore hot pink and hot purple suits. Just ridiculous, Queen. Just slicing and dicing in court, girl. Ridiculous.
She's got pink hair too.
Yeah, big hair, just ridiculous. But the great thing is I learned that I was always like this and I was trying to fit into a box. Some people want you to look, sound, and act a certain way. That's not people I rock with. And so who do you really want to be associating with? Do they celebrate difference and not just racial difference, not just gender difference, but people who are eclectic, people who stand out in a crowded marketplace? Those are the people I like to rock with. And so my freak flag flies because I don't have an apology for how I am. No one expects the test Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or Sarah Bakley or Oprah to have apologized. I'm not either. They got to a place where they were like, this is who I am. You either love it or leave it alone. But at some point, I have agency over my life. And if I want to associate with people who are average, random, and ordinary, great, but that ain't where I'm going. And so when I tell you about aiming high, when you aim high, you're dealing with people who aren't cookie cutter. I'm sorry, they're just not. I mean, remember the days of IBM and all of them, like the tech people were not like that. How you gonna go to work in a hoodie?
That's true. They
I mean,
aren't
I'm
your
wearing
regular.
big chunky necklaces, pink, just it is what it is. And people love flavor and difference, even if they tell you they don't. Why do certain people stand out? It's because they talk different. It's because they go against the grain. And so a lot of us have been told to stay in a box. And so it's going to take a while to get out of that. But I would test the waters. I would really test the waters. And as you're going for bigger contracts or to work with VIPs, here's a big tip. You are a VIP. You are the celebrity you want to be around. So while you may be running up and chasing, no. At some point, they come to you.
I
But
love
that's after you establish credibility. That's after you stand in your power. I went to a high seven-figure mastermind in Indiana, and people wanted to take pictures with me. And all I kept thinking was, there was a time my phone didn't ring. There was a time when it got really scary and I didn't know how I was going to pay rent. When I decided I am Precious Williams, the killer pitch master, I stopped for no one. I don't play with gatekeepers. I'm going after who I want to go after. If I go through my own network, I'm going to do it. And just like Clark Atlanta, their motto is, I'll find a way or make one. Thank you, God. I made one.
I love that. She either found a way or made a way. So if you're trying to get to Bed Bath & Beyond or Whole Foods or, or Target deal where you're going to be able to sell at a higher level, you're going to have to find a way or make a way, get out of that shyness, jump into that.
You better be in that
double
LinkedIn.
Dutch.
You say who between them, what are mutual contacts? And you need to let them know what time it is and have all the things that they need to make a warm introduction and make them comfortable and to be like, you know what, I'm putting this person through, and realize that nothing worth having is easy. It takes time. Look how long it took me, 2-3 years to even get noticed for ProfitCon. But it happened. And I don't know if y'all know, I'm Black on both sides. Not light skin, no Brazilian butt lift, no six-pack abs, no Instagram thotty, not a TikToker at 15, no, 42.
But there's a lot between the eyeballs, there's a lot of gift that you have in terms of knowledge and if I could take a little bottle of that boldness, I sure would.
No, but these are real. These are real. And, I'm meant to be entertaining because most people aren't to me. So we got to liven things up everywhere we go, but also this is my real personality.
And I think you bring up
way too long.
I think you bring up a really good point. Being a woman of color, an African-American woman, we grew up, and I'm a little bit older than you, Precious, but we grew up and, Gen X. And I don't know if you're Gen X or if you're a millennial, I can't figure out, but I'm pure Gen X.
I think I'm Gen X because I'm 1979. So
okay. Yeah. Got it. And I remember, growing up, there weren't a lot of role models that looked like us. The only people that were role models were people on television, your Paula Abdul, Janet Jackson, people that were pretty much getting naked on TV. And there weren't any doctors. There was Bill Cosby show and his wife, who was a lawyer, but that was it, And so there was that temptation to fit in a box, right? In order to be accepted, in order to be able to grow up, to have a house one day, right? Or be able to provide for your family. And, and it does take a different level of guts to come out and be different and claim who you are with that. And Precious, I'm just curious, what things did you have to overcome? Because you really do stand in your truth of who you are in order to do that.
Well, I almost took my life on my 38th birthday just because the love of my life had died. And I don't know people who lose the love of their life in their 30s. And I'm still here. And that was God's way of saying, here's your second chance. The fat lady ain't singing. He had a wide neck. You ain't singing. And when I came out and I had nothing, I had to hold on to his unchanging hand because so many people dissed me and kicked me to the curb. And when I came out of darkness and into light, couldn't keep looking at the old doors that were shut. I had to look at the crack over there. And I'm a female MacGyver of business for a reason. And I had to be the female MacGyver of business. And I had to keep putting my message out and keep getting noticed and going into higher and higher groups where people were teaching me and I wasn't the bright light. And because I did that, I was willing to learn. I was willing to put in the time, the effort, and the resources. The most beautiful thing happened. They started really noticing me. And they noticed I had a talent that no one else did. And so it's easier for them when I made the big ask to say, I'm looking for paid speaking engagements. I'm looking for corporate training opportunities. I'm willing to do a one-off so they can test me and things like that. And people went with it. When I wrote my first book, I thought 2 people would buy it. Never thought it would be a #1 bestseller. I had no idea that Forbes magazine would want to review it. And how out of two out of the 3 books I've written, 2 were reviewed by Forbes and 2 had billboards in Times Square. That's unreal. So I think in the last 3 years, what that has showed me is God said, if you do it my way, and you also just understand that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. There are many speakers in this world. Most of them aren't making anything. Most of them, the phone ain't ringing or whatever. The reason why mine does is because I've created my own lane and I dominate my niche. You don't call Les Brown for what I do. You don't call Tony Robbins, Sarah Bakley. You don't call it for what I do, which means that this is why I slay. And I encourage all of you that if you know you've been given a second chance, you got to do it differently. And so I can come in here and be Fendi, Gucci, Birkin bagged out, or I can say I'm the Birkin and I'm worth it all. Wow. So you can show me all the materials. At the end of the day, they pay me for transformation and to take them from where they were to where they really, really want to be. And I don't take that lightly because I go hard for my clients and they win. And they get the big corporate training contracts and they get the big opportunities. And, and that's why I'm grateful, because I live to see that by me being me, whether you hate it or love it, I'm polarizing and you won't forget me.
I love that. God qualifies the called. So you have to step up into the calling in order to be qualified. That is amazing. Right. Amazing tip. Now, Precious, as we close out our episode, if there was a piece of advice, a tip that you could leave our viewers and listeners, it could be personal or business related, what would that tip be?
One of the things I've always loved is fortune favors the bold. So you can be an introvert and be bold, I promise. Everybody knows someone who's quiet, but when they talk about, they don't. They dropping knowledge, they dropping that hot tea. Go boldly in the pursuit of your dreams. And you're going to have haters. I suggest you embrace them because they only hate on people doing something. If you ain't really doing anything, what you got a hater for? You don't. So embrace it. Give them something to talk about. And finally, number 3, when it comes to where the money reside, check out the Killer Pitch Master. And I'll show you where the money resides in your business, right? Some of us are going after the wrong target market. There's lower hanging fruit somewhere else, but you're over here fighting with don't fight for the crumbs. Go high. Go higher than you've ever thought. And you'll be surprised at who embraces you. You get ridiculed and talked about by people who can never do what you do. The people at the top, they embrace because you persevering. You hear no's, you just like, oh, I just ate that for lunch. What's for dinner? Fortune favors the bold.
I love that. That is amazing. Very, very strong advice. Mm-hmm. And Precious, how can our viewers and listeners contact you to learn more, to work with you?
Well, there's several ways, but number 1, I am Precious Williams, the Killer Pitch Master, proud founder and CEO of Perfect Pitches by Precious. My website is www.perfectpitchesbyprecious.com. On my site, you can check out my triple threat book bundle. You can check out my one-on-one training and teaching and speaking courses and programs. On Facebook, I'm at Perfect Pitch P. On Twitter, I'm at Perfect Pitch P. On Instagram, I'm at Perfect Pitches P. And on YouTube, I'm Perfect Pitches by Precious. That's my channel. And if you're seeking to bring me into trainer to speak, you can go to my second website, www.killerpitchmaster.com. Finally, I have a free quiz, and you can go to this website, www.pitchingforprofit.com. And pitching, PITCHING, FOR, profit, PRFIT. I know y'all know that, .com. And also, I have a great crowdfunding campaign that just debuted, and I'd love for you to tell you all about that. But where the money reside in sales. You know how we do.
I love it. I love that. So entrepreneurs, check Precious out. It still sticks in my mind. Look how good she is, pitchingforprofits.com. It stays in mind. Thank you so much, Precious, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me.
Until next time, may the profits be with you.